You ever notice how they call it real estate? Real estate. Like it's some holy, divine piece of dirt that God himself handed to a realtor in a shiny suit. Here, my child, now go forth and charge desperate families $300,000 for a pile of drywall and termites. Real estate isn't real, folks. It's monopoly money for grown-ups. Except in Monopoly, you actually get to own the little plastic house after you buy it. In real life, you don't own squat. You're renting from the bank for the next 30 years while they pat you on the head and tell you, "Congratulations, you're a homeowner." Homeowner, please. You don't own a damn thing until the last check clears, and by then your knees don't work and your kids are fighting over which nursing home to stick you in. They tell you land is valuable because they're not making any more of it. Oh, really? Have you been to Dubai? They're literally building islands out of sand and concrete and selling them for the price of a small moon. You know why land feels valuable? Because some guy in a suit invented scarcity. That's right, scarcity! Realtors are basically drug dealers, except instead of cocaine, they're slinging 3-bedroom townhouses with a leaky roof. And you're the junkie lining up at the open house saying, "Wow, honey, it's got a walk-in closet." Yeah, and a mortgage that'll walk you straight into bankruptcy. And let's talk about location. What a scam. You pay triple the price for the privilege of living closer to a Starbucks. The house isn't worth more. It's still made of plywood and broken dreams. But the zip code gets a bonus charge. If real estate was really about the property, people would be bragging about how sturdy their plumbing is, not how close they are to Whole Foods. Oh, and the best scam of all, property taxes. You think you bought the land. Ha! The government shows up every year like a mob boss. Nice lawn you got here. Be a shame if someone foreclosed on it. You never own the dirt. You're just renting from Uncle Sam. Real estate isn't the American dream. It's the American subscription service. You pay every month until you die, and then your kids get to start the free trial. You don't own your home. You never did, and you never will. The bank owns your home. The government owns your home. Hell, the termites have a better claim to your walls than you do. But you, no, you're just the schmuck holding the keys, walking around saying, "Look at me, honey, we're homeowners." Homeowners, my ass. You're not a homeowner. You're a glorified tenant in a 30-year lease with the world's most uptight landlord, the bank. They sell you this dream, buy a house, build it equity, settle down. Equity. What the hell is equity? It's imaginary money you're not allowed to touch until you sell the place. And even then, guess what? The realtor gets a cut, the government gets a cut, the lawyer gets a cut, the inspector gets a cut, the termites get another cut. And you're left standing there with your pants around your ankles wondering why your investment made you less money than a lemonade stand. And let's not forget the mortgage. They dress it up like it's a friendly thing. Oh, don't worry, it's just a 30-year fixed rate. 30 years! That's not a mortgage, that's a prison sentence. You could literally commit armed robbery, do your time, and get out before you pay off your house. And if you miss a payment, boom, game over. The bank doesn't care if you lost your job, if your kid needed surgery, if a hurricane blew the roof into your neighbor's yard. Nope, they want the money. And if you don't cough it up, they'll take the house, take your dignity, and then have the balls to resell it to another sucker like it's some sacred piece of the American dream. People think when they buy a house, they're free. Free. You're chained to that mortgage like a dog tied to a stake. The bank pats you on the head every month. Good boy, here's your bill. And you keep paying month after month like it's some holy ritual. You light a candle, say a prayer, and mail the check. All so you can live in a box with drywall thin enough to hear your neighbor's Wi-Fi password. And then comes the property tax. Oh, yeah, the government gets their taste too. You thought you were done after closing costs, after the down payment, after the $6,000 documentation fees. No. Every year the government shows up with their hand out like a mob collector. Nice house you got here. Be a shame if it got auctioned off. You never stop paying. You don't really own the land, you're just leasing it from Uncle Sam, and his rent is due forever. You die, your kids inherit the property, and guess what? They inherit the taxes, too. It's like a family curse. Congratulations, son, here's the house and the bills that never die. And let me tell you, the government has a hell of a sense of humor. They tax you on the value of your home, right? But who decides that value? Some guy you've never met shows up with a clipboard, walks around the block, looks at your bushes and says, "Yeah, this one's worth about $500,000 now. $500,000!" You didn't do anything to increase the value, but suddenly your taxes go up because Starbucks opened 2 blocks away. So now you're paying extra just because some yuppies want their double, shot lots closer to home. People say, but Carlin, at least when I pay rent, I'm throwing money away. When I pay a mortgage, I'm building ownership. Oh yeah, ownership. Try missing 3 payments and watch how fast that ownership evaporates. Ownership means you can do what you want when you want. You can't. Try not paying taxes. Try not paying insurance. Try knocking down a wall without a permit. You think you own it. Try telling the government, hey, this is my land. I'll build what I want. They'll fine you, sue you, and send a bulldozer just to remind you who really owns the dirt. And insurance, don't get me started on home insurance. Another scam. You're legally required to buy insurance so the bank doesn't lose their money. Not you, the bank. You're paying to protect them. You're basically a babysitter for the bank's investment. And the kicker, when you do have a disaster, flood, fire, earthquake, they do everything in their power not to pay you. Oh, I see your roof collapsed. Unfortunately, that's not covered under your plan because it was caused by an act of God. Act of God! You know what an act of God is? The scam of insurance companies writing contracts so confusing even God couldn't get a payout. And the maintenance, oh boy. You buy the house thinking you're moving up in the world. But suddenly, you're the janitor, the plumber, the electrician, the exterminator, all rolled into one. You don't own a home. You own a second full-time job. You fix the sink. You mow the lawn. You replace the water heater that explodes in the middle of the night. And every time you fix one thing, something else breaks, like the house is alive and actively plotting against you. Renters don't know how good they have it. Something breaks, they call the landlord. Homeowners, you break it, you buy it, you fix it, you cry about it. And while you're drowning in debt and maintenance costs, the bank and the government are laughing their asses off because you believed the dream. You bought the lie. They told you be a homeowner. You'll have security. Security. You're never secure. Lose your job. You're homeless. Miss enough payments. They repossess your life. Get sick and can't work. Too bad. They don't want to hear your sob story. They want the money. And the best part, after 30 years of paying, after decades of struggle, sacrifice, and eating ramen noodles so you could make the mortgage, you finally own it outright. And then you die. And the cycle starts all over again with your kids. You think it's ownership. No, it's a lease. A long, expensive lease with extra steps. The bank owns you. The government owns you. And they've tricked you into thinking you're winning because you've got your name on a piece of paper. It's not ownership. It's paperwork slavery. Scarcity. That's the magic word they use in real estate to convince you that a pile of dirt is worth more than your entire future. Scarcity! They're not making any more land, they tell you. Oh, really? You sure about that, Einstein? Because last time I checked, there are giant stretches of empty space in Nevada, Arizona, half of Texas, 3/4 of Australia, and a nice little thing called the entire ocean. We've got land. We've got more land than we know what to do with. The problem isn't that we don't have land. The problem is that a bunch of assholes put fences around it and said, this patch is mine, and if you want it, you'll pay me everything you've got plus interest. That's not scarcity. That's extortion dressed up in khakis and a real estate license. Think about it. You take a piece of dirt, you slap a sign on it that says prime location, and suddenly people are crawling over each other to throw money at you. Prime location. What does that even mean? The dirt doesn't change. It's the same patch of grass it's been for the last 1,000 years. But oh no, some slick-haired realtor stands on it, waves his arms around like he's on QVC and says, this is the last piece of paradise left. And you idiots believe him. You start bidding on dirt. Dirt! You can get dirt for free in your backyard, folks. You can scoop it up in a bucket. But when some corporation sticks a sign in it, suddenly it's worth $400. And they love that phrasey supply and demand. It's basic economics, right? Limited supply, high demand, the price goes up. Sounds logical, sounds scientific. But here's the scam. They control the supply. They choke the supply. They strangle the supply until you're begging for scraps. Cities literally pass laws to make sure there isn't enough housing. Zoning laws, permits, red tape. Oh, you want to build an apartment building. Sorry, that's zoned for single-family homes only. Oh, you want to turn that empty warehouse into condos. Nope, against the rules. But guess what is allowed? Selling the same crappy old houses at higher and higher prices because there's just not enough inventory. Of course there's not enough inventory. They made it that way. It's like McDonald's telling you hamburgers are rare while Ronald's sitting on a freezer full of patties. And let's talk about luxury real estate. That's where the scam reaches Olympic levels of bullshit. These developers build skyscrapers full of empty apartments, slap the word luxury on them, and price them so high that no one can afford to live there. Then they brag about how exclusive the building is. Exclusive! You know what exclusive means? Empty. It means no one lives there because the units are just investment chips for billionaires hiding their money from taxes. But here's the kicker. Because those towers exist, they drive up the price of every other place around them. So the peasants living in their little shoebox apartments get screwed because some Russian oligarch wanted a safe deposit box in the sky. That's not scarcity. That's artificial scarcity. Manufactured scarcity. Designer scarcity. Remember when you were a kid playing Monopoly? Once somebody bought up all the property on one side of the board, you were screwed. That's exactly what's happening in real life. Hedge funds, corporations, Wall Street, they're buying up entire neighborhoods. Not houses, neighborhoods. They don't even live there. They just sit on the property, jack up the rent, and wait for you to grovel. Then they tell you, hey, it's just the market at work. Supply and demand. No, it's not supply and demand. It's greed and manipulation. It's hoarding. If regular people did this with food, we'd call them monsters. But when corporations do it with housing, we call them investors. And the best part, they tell you it's your fault. Well, if you'd save more money, you could afford a house. Save more money. How exactly? While rent keeps going up, groceries keep going up, gas keeps going up, and wages stay flatter than a pancake on life support. They move the finish line every time you get close. 20 years ago, you could buy a house with one income. Now you need two incomes, a side hustle, a sugar daddy, and a lottery win just to scrape together a down payment. And even then, some hedge fund comes along with a suitcase full of cash and buys it out from under you. That's not scarcity. It's theft in broad daylight. And oh, don't you love the way they market it? This house is unique, one of kind, never to be replicated. Yeah. Until you walk 2 blocks over and see the exact same house with the same beige walls, the same cheap carpeting, and the same broken garage door opener. But they keep the illusion going. Scarcity is all about illusion. They make you think there's not enough to go around, so you'll panic and overpay. It's psychological warfare, folks. They've turned buying a home into an auction for your sanity. And don't even get me started on the artificial land shortage in big cities. You go to Manhattan, San Francisco, London, people living in shoeboxes paying thousands of dollars a month. You think it's because there's no space. Bullshit. There's space. There are entire buildings sitting empty, owned by corporations, waiting for the market to go up. They let people sleep on the streets while perfectly good apartments sit vacant, all because they want to squeeze a few more drops of blood out of the stone. And if you complain, they tell you it's capitalism, baby. Invisible hand of the market. You know what the invisible hand is doing. It's reaching into your wallet and flipping you the finger on the way out. But here's the funniest part. People believe it. People buy into this idea of scarcity. They brag about how expensive their city is, like it's a badge of honor. Oh, I live in San Francisco, where a studio costs $3,000 a month. Congratulations, you're being robbed. That's not prestige. That's a scam with better branding. It's like bragging that your mugger has the fanciest knife. And here's the cherry on top of the shit sundae. They create the scarcity. They inflate the prices. And then they pat themselves on the back for being smart investors. Smart investors. No, they're vampires in business suits. They're leeches with a Zillow account. And you're the blood donor. Every time you pay rent, every time you stretch your paycheck to cover the mortgage, you're feeding the beast. You're keeping the illusion alive. So don't tell me land is scarce. Don't tell me houses are rare. What's rare is honesty. What's rare is fairness. What's rare is a system that isn't rigged 6 ways to Sunday. The land is there. The houses are there. The apartments are there. What's not there is access, because they built walls around it, slapped on a for sale sign, and dared you to dream. And if you're dumb enough to dream, they'll happily sell you the nightmare. Location, location, location. You ever hear that phrase? Every realtor says it like they're whispering the secret of the universe. Like they just came down from the mountaintop with the 10 commandments of house hunting. Location, location, location. That's not wisdom. It's a sales pitch. It's a con job. It's basically code for we're going to charge you 10 times more for the same crappy box because it's near a Starbucks. That's all it is. A coffee surcharge with a driveway. And people fall for it. They hear good neighborhood and their brain shuts off. They stop asking real questions like, does the roof leak? Is the foundation crumbling? Are there raccoons living in the attic? No, 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 they're too busy salivating over the zip code. The realtor says, oh, it's in a very desirable school district. And suddenly, you're writing a check bigger than your yearly salary because you don't want little Timmy going to school with kids who only have 2 iPads. Let's be honest, location doesn't mean anything about the house itself. The house could be a rotting shack with mold in the basement, but if it's 2 blocks from a Trader Joe's, suddenly it's a charming fixer-upper with potential. Charming fixer-upper! That's realtor code for it. This place is falling apart, but it's near a yoga studio, so we're going to charge you 6 figures over asking. And then there's OPE and coming neighborhoods. Oh, that's a good one. Translation: this place is still a dump, but we're betting it'll be gentrified in 5 years, so buy now before the price goes up. And what does gentrification mean? It means all the people who lived there before get priced out, and suddenly the area has artisanal mayonnaise shops and dog spas. Then the realtor pats you on the back like you're an investment genius. You're not an investment genius. You're a sucker who paid premium price for a house that used to cost half as much before the craft breweries showed up. You ever notice how location always comes with made-up labels? This is the arts district.
Oh, really? Where are the artists?
Oh, that one mural on the side of the vape shop. This is the financial district. Yeah, where broke people commute 2 hours a day so the banks can screw them from closer range. This is the historic district, which means here's a bunch of old, crumbling buildings you're not allowed to fix because the city wants to preserve the charm. Historic district is realtor talk 4. You get to live in a museum, and the museum charges you for the privilege. And don't get me started on waterfront property. Waterfront sounds fancy until you realize you're one hurricane away from watching your house float down the street like Dorothy's goddamn cabin in The Wizard of Oz. You pay triple the price for the view, and then you pay quadruple the insurance because you're living in a flood zone. But oh, you've got a view! That's what they tell you. A view of what? Mosquitoes, tourists, and your neighbor's boat collection. But because it's location, 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 you pay through the nose. And what about close to the city? Oh, they love that one. Just 15 minutes from downtown. Sure, if you drive at 3 in the morning with no traffic. In reality, you're sitting in gridlock for an hour every day while some guy named Chad in a BMW cuts you off so he can get to his Palate's class. But hey, you're close to the city. That's worth another $100,000, right? And let's talk about safe neighborhoods. That's the crown jewel of the scam. Safe. Safe compared to what? Safe compared to the Wild West. Safe compared to the Purge. They tell you this neighborhood is safe, but safe for who? Safe for people who can afford the inflated prices. That's the real safety net money. The higher the price, the safer they claim it is. And if you can't afford it, well, enjoy living on the other side of town, where the only thing they tell you is good luck. Then there's the status game. People don't buy houses in a good location because they love the area. They buy them so they can brag at cocktail parties. Oh, we live in the Heights. The Heights! Doesn't matter that the house is the size of a broom closet. Doesn't matter that you're mortgaged up to your eyeballs. You get to say, the Heights, like it's some magical kingdom. You know what the Heights really is? It's the same strip malls, the same potholes, and the same chain restaurants as everywhere else, only with a heavier price tag and less parking. And let's not forget the walking distance. Scam. Walking distance to shops and dining. Sure, if you're a marathon runner with a death wish. Realtors measure walking distance the same way McDonald's measures nutrition facts. Completely detached from reality. You buy the house thinking you'll walk everywhere. And 6 months later, you're still driving because the only thing within walking distance is a gas station that smells like despair. Location, location, location is just lipstick on a pig. It's how they make you forget you're buying a glorified box made out of plywood and particle board. They hypnotize you with buzzwords until you think proximity to a Whole Foods is more important than a roof that doesn't collapse in the rain. And here's the real kicker. Location is always changing. That great neighborhood today, in 10 years, it could be worthless. The fancy coffee shops close, the businesses move out, crime goes up, and suddenly your $1 million investment is worth about as much as a used minivan. Meanwhile, the bad neighborhood you ignored, that's now the hip spot, and people are selling old garages for $500,000. Location is a gamble, but they sell it like it's a guarantee. It's not real estate, it's roulette estate. And the banks love it, but location lets them jack up your loan. Oh, you're buying in a prime area. That'll be a bigger mortgage. Of course it will. The same square footage in the wrong zip code costs half as much, but you're told you're making a smart investment by overpaying. You're not smart. You're a hamster on the wheel, running faster and faster just to stay in place while the banks and realtors rake in the cash. It's all branding. That's what all location really is, branding. Just like Nike sneakers or Gucci handbags. It's not about the product, it's about the label. You're not buying a house, you're buying bragging rights. You're buying a zip code to put on Christmas cards. You're buying a bumper sticker for your life. And they know it, so they sell you the fantasy. They sell you the neighborhood identity like it's a luxury car. Meanwhile, the house doesn't care. The walls don't care if you're in Beverly Hills or Bumfuck. Nowhere. The toilet doesn't flush any better because you paid extra for the zip code. The roof doesn't stop leaking just because you're near a wine bar. The only thing that changes is how much you got screwed and how smug your realtor looks when they hand you the keys. So when they chant that mantra, location, 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 remember what it really means? We're charging you more for the same crap because we know you'll pay for the illusion of status. That's not real estate. That's real extortion. Real estate isn't ownership. It's a goddamn subscription service. You don't buy a house, you sign up for Home Flow Premium with monthly payments until you die. Forget Spotify, forget Netflix, forget your gym membership. Real estate is the only subscription that lasts longer than your marriage, your job, and maybe your liver. They tell you you're buying freedom. But what you're really buying is a lifetime of bills that don't stop even after you've dropped dead. That's not ownership. That's indentured servitude with drywall. You make that first payment and you think, wow, I'm building equity. No, you're not. You're building paperwork. You're building interest. You're building stress ulcers and high blood pressure. Equity is the carrot they dangle while they beat you with the mortgage stick. 30 years. 30! That's not a loan. That's a generational curse. That's longer than some dictatorships last. You're not a homeowner. You're a debt host organism. You're the cow hooked up to the milking machine, and the bank is in the back saying, keep squeezing. Boys, we've got another 30 years of cash to suck out of this one. And it never ends. Even if you pay off your mortgage, even if you live long enough to send that last check, you're still not done. You've still got property taxes. You've still got insurance. You've still got fees. Because here's the dirty little secret the subscription never cancels. You never hit unsubscribe. You never get to live in a house for free. Stop paying property tax and the government takes your house. Stop paying insurance and the bank cancels your loan or leaves you hanging when the roof caves in. You never really own it. It owns you. And look at how it's structured. It's exactly like every scam subscription service you've ever signed up for. First, they hit you with the introductory offer. Low down payment, affordable, mortgage. That's the free trial. Then the payments start creeping up. Suddenly, you're affordable. Mortgage has ballooned because of adjustments. They always find a way to raise the bill. And then just like Netflix, they hit you with extras. Want insurance? Extra. Want to fix the roof? Want electricity, water, garbage pickup? Extra, extra, extra. Congratulations. You're now subscribed to living. And the cancellation fee is called homelessness. The funniest part is how people brag about being homeowners. They walk around like they've achieved some spiritual enlightenment. I own my home. No, you don't. You're renting from the government and the bank at the same time. You're the middleman in your own scam. You pay the bank so you can keep paying the government, and in return, they let you sleep inside 4 walls that are slowly decaying while you shovel more money into the furnace. That's not ownership. That's indentured labor dressed up as the American dream. You want to see who owns the house. Stop paying. Stop paying anything. Don't pay the bank. Don't pay the government. Don't pay insurance. Let's see who comes knocking first. Spoiler alert, it won't be you knocking on your own front door. It'll be the sheriff, the bank, or some guy in a suit with paperwork saying, thanks for keeping this place warm for us. We'll take it from here. You're not the homeowner. You're the unpaid caretaker until the real owner decides to kick you out. And let's not forget the maintenance subscription. You don't just pay money. You pay time. Endless time. The house is always hungry. It always needs something. Fix the plumbing, patch the roof, replace the heater, mow the lawn, paint the walls. It's a living organism that feeds on your weekends and your wallet. You thought you were buying shelter, but what you really bought is a second job. You don't own the house. The house owns your Saturday mornings, your retirement fund, and your lower back. And the upgrades? Oh, just like software, they keep dangling upgrades in front of you. Open concept kitchen, Smart home features. Oh, energy-efficient windows. Suddenly your house is outdated if it doesn't have a Wi-Fi-enabled toaster. You start spending thousands to keep up with the Joneses, who are also broke but pretending they're not. Home ownership isn't an investment. It's an arms race in suburbia. Whoever runs out of money first loses. And the subscription model even follows you into death. You think it ends when you die? Hell no. You die. And your kids inherit not just the house, but the bills, the taxes, the subscriptions. It's the family plan from hell. You don't hand down wealth. You hand down responsibilities. Here you go, son. I've left you this beautiful 3-bedroom ranch and 30 years of deferred maintenance. That's not an inheritance. It's a booby trap. Meanwhile, the banks and the government are laughing their asses off because they invented the perfect system. You think you own property, but property owns you. They don't even have to call it rent anymore. They just rebranded rent as mortgage and taxes and convinced you that you're winning. They took the same scam, gave it a shiny name, and you lined up to sign the papers. It's brilliant in an evil Bond villain kind of way. And you know what else? They never stop finding new ways to charge you. HOA fees. Oh, that's a good one. You pay hundreds of dollars a month for the privilege of having some cranky retiree tell you your grass is too long. It's like paying for a streaming service that deletes your favorite show every time you forget to trim the hedges. That's not ownership. That's being bossed around by strangers who hate your porch decorations. You want to see the truth. Go look at your deed. Go look at the fine print. You'll see conditions, lions, restrictions. They don't trust you to actually own anything. You can't build what you want. You can't sell to who you want. You can't even paint your damn house neon green if you want to, because some committee decided that property values matter more than your freedom. Property values! The sacred cow of real estate. It's the reason you're not really in charge of your property. Because if you were, you might actually enjoy it, and that would threaten the whole subscription model. They don't want you free. They want you tied down. They want you working, paying, subscribing forever. They want you in debt because debt is the leash. A paid-off house is dangerous. It means you might start thinking you're independent. So they pile on new taxes, new fees, new reasons to keep the money flowing. It's not enough that you bought the house. You've got to keep buying it every month for the rest of your life. It's the ultimate joke. You don't own the house. The house owns you. You're the feature. You're the upgrade. You're the content. The walls stand there smug and silent, knowing you'll patch them, paint them, pay for them, defend them. And in the end, when you're dead and gone, the house will still be there, waiting for the next sucker to sign the subscription agreement.